You ever have one of those mornings where you wake up and just know today's going to be the kind of day you remember for the rest of your life? Well, let me tell you, that Saturday started with the sound of diesel engines and voices where they damn well shouldn't have been, right outside my ranch gate at dawn. 5 monster campers lined up nose to tail, blocking the old county road like a rolling circus nobody invited, engines chugging, brakes hissing, doors swinging open while a bunch of strangers poured out with chairs, coolers, even selfie sticks. First thing I see is this guy, pounding on my locked cattle gate, yelling about reserved spots. And there she is in the middle. Karen, big sun visor, clipboard held like she's General Patton, sunglasses reflecting my house back at me. She's barking orders like this place is her personal festival ground, telling folks where to park and unload, totally ignoring the private property sign like it's invisible. So I'm standing on my porch, boots on, coffee still hot, just watching her run her mouth, and when she finally spots me, she freezes. Smile cracks, just for a second. She knows she's crossed a line. Hell, she's been trying to push past it for months. That's the whole reason I bought this ranch, you know? Out here, there's no HOA, no committee to tell me what to build or when to mow or whether my dogs are too loud. I came out to raise cattle, plant trees, breathe deep. And here's Karen, somehow tracking me down, spinning a story for 5 families that my place is a public retreat, selling camping spots that never existed. The tension that morning was sharp, metallic, like something's about to break. Karen comes striding up, all fake pleasant, palms out like she's calming a skittish horse, but her eyes keep darting to the steel padlock and the chain, thick enough to stop a bull. She tries her usual routine. I booked the ranch for a luxury camping weekend. You agreed to host us. My clients drove all night. On and on. You know what I mean? The nerve. I let her talk a minute, then cut her off. This is private land. You're trespassing. Just like that. Dead quiet. Her whole crowd hears it, and you can feel the mood shift, ripple through them. I didn't need to bluff. My gate is 2 tons of steel sunk in concrete, double-fenced and wired. Last month, I installed a wildlife cam in a birdhouse to get plates crystal clear. Some guests start asking Karen for receipts. Kids are whining about bathrooms. A woman scrolling her phone, fingers jerking. It's turning fast. Karen ramps up the charm, says there's just been a misunderstanding, says I must have forgotten our conversation. I remind her, loud enough for everyone, that last time we talked. She tried to rope me into her fake HOA, and I told her to stay off my land. My voice cracks out across the gravel, and that does it. My ranch dogs, big shepherd mixes, start barking from the porch. Hackles up. Karen's smile is gone. Here's where things get interesting. I walk to the gate, lock the little service entrance behind me, and tell them, every minute they hang around is trespass. And every move is on camera. Some guy tries to threaten me with the sheriff. I just grin and say, already called. Hadn't yet. But you know, sometimes you gotta play the part. That does it. Phones come out, voices rise, some folks try to back out, but can't. They're boxed in by the other rigs. Diesel fumes, panic rising, all their weekend plans crumbling in the dust. It was honestly a little funny, watching her crowd go from let's party to how do we get out? In under 10 minutes. I walked the fence, cool as you please, checking posts, showing them this wasn't my first rodeo. Over the years, Karen's tried every angle. Noise complaints, fake petitions, even zoning nonsense. But paperwork and patience shut her down every time. This was her big move, and it was falling apart, live-streamed on 2 phones and a half-dozen security cams. Mid-mutiny, Karen starts promising refunds, breakfast, anything if they just wait. I snapped a few photos of the campers. Made sure plates were clear. Some guy yelled at me to delete them. I just poured another coffee, sat down on the porch, and watched the whole mess unfold. You could feel the sun getting hotter by the minute, the day stretching out like a chessboard. I could have called law enforcement right then, or flooded the approach road if they tried to force the gate, but honestly, I wanted them to sweat. Let them feel what happens when you trust the wrong person. Around late morning, things started to unravel for real. Karen and her little crowd began arguing in the heat, parents snapping at kids. Someone's dog barking, a guy nearly backing his camper into another. The unity she'd counted on was breaking. I went inside, laid out deeds and permits on the kitchen table, prepped the flash drives of security footage, just in case. This wasn't just about one bad morning. It was the last act in a long game of cat and mouse. By early afternoon, her crowd was roasting, out of patience, out of trust. Karen tried to save face, yelled she had an emergency county permit, waved some fake paperwork through the fence at me, hoping I'd blink. But the printouts were a joke. I called my buddy at the county office, described the permit. He laughed, told me to email photos. I told Karen, calmly as I could, that forging documents was a felony. Her group started to realize just how far they'd been duped. After that, the collapse was quick. Folks turned on Karen, demanding money back, blaming her for everything. Some started packing up, but couldn't move without the others. I pinned a laminated sign to the gate, "No trespassing," took another lap along the fence. Every click of my phone was more evidence. A man tried to see if he could cut the padlock. I just gave him a look that said, "Try me." He backed off. It was all psychological by then. Divide the crowd from their leader, let frustration do the work. By sundown, deputies finally showed up. Lights sweeping over the valley, boots crunching gravel. I handed over the evidence, photos, permits, the works. They took statements, made Karen hand over her ID, quietly told the guests they were victims, not suspects. Karen tried to play the martyr, blaming me, blaming the county, blaming her own guests for misunderstanding. But it was done. Deputies cited her for trespass, fraud, even the fake paperwork, and told me to keep the gate shut till morning just in case. When it was over, the campers limped away in the dark, headlights crawling out to the county road. Karen's rig last in line, her visor hanging limp like a white flag. The valley was silent again, my dogs at my feet, the ranch breathing steady. I could feel every lesson in my bones. Boundaries only matter if you hold them. Freedom only lasts if you defend it. Next morning, I found apology notes wedged in the gate, even one family offering to help replant the grass they'd trampled. Later that week, a couple came back, planted seedlings along the fence, just wanting to make it right. And yeah, Karen started spinning stories online, trying to paint herself as the victim, but the evidence was all on my side. People talk, reputations stick, and folks out here know now. You come for this land, you better come correct, or you'll leave with dust on your boots and a story you'd rather forget. Funny thing, after all that, the land felt more like mine than ever. I fixed the fence, walked the lines, poured a fresh coffee, watched a hawk turn lazy circles over the ridge, and thought, maybe next weekend, I'll host a barbecue. This time, by invitation only. But you know, part of me hopes Karen tries again, because this time, the whole county's watching. And that gate's not just steel and chain, it's reputation. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line? When does standing your ground become something more than just protecting your property? That's what I want to know. Drop your take in the comments. Ever dealt with a Karen like this? Where do you stand on boundaries, community, and justice? Hit like if you know what I mean, subscribe if you want to hear the next round. Because out here, the stories never really end.